Is 8:44. Welcome back to Great Day live in Des Moines, and we're always excited when we have authors visiting in Des Moines. AVID is what they call it, Jackie.
Yeah, a great event that's running now 15 years in our metro, so very excited to have some incredible authors, and we have one that's going to be speaking tonight over at Central Library.
Bill Cotton is joining us. Welcome to Des Moines.
Thank you.
Where are you visiting from?
Madison County.
Okay, so a long way away, huh?
Well, you're a native of Texas.
And I'm a native of Texas, but I've lived in Iowa over 50 years, so I don't know what you would call that.
One of us is what we would call that.
Yeah, actually, that's true. We moved to Iowa right out of school. I'm a United Methodist clergyman, retired, and this just seemed like a good place to raise kids, and seemed like a pretty sane place. And if you grew up in East Texas, it's quite different.
I would imagine. So what are we going to be talking about tonight then?
Well, actually, I've written two books. I wrote a book about Madison County, my first one, and my second book is called Iowa Roots, in which I just lift up some of the people that I've experienced.
Yeah, there's the Madison County book here.
And I keep running into people. I've lived in 6 communities that were established by immigrants. And, you know, that history is between 1840 and 1870, 500,000 people crossed the Mississippi River from all kinds of Eastern and European country. We had an immigration department that invited them to come, and so the Swedes and Norwegians and the Germans and Irish and British were already here. But, and the amazing thing is that they built these towns in Iowa. And it just happened as the bishop would appoint me, it seemed like I was in a German community for a while, and Swedish community, and Irish community up at Emmitsburg. And I began to run into people that were just very interesting, just interesting to talk with, and were doing significant things. And if you ever look at, if you compare Iowa to East Texas, it's quite different. And one of the differences we discovered was kind of the freedom, a strong championship of civil rights, and all of these ethnic groups that came across had to figure out how to get along with each other. They crossed the Mississippi River into this beautiful land that was left by the glaciers. And the Wisconsin Glacier was a chunk of ice a mile deep, thick, and it took it 1,200 years to melt. And when it did, we had about 7 feet of topsoil, and the prairie came. And when these persons from Europe saw this topsoil, they wanted to plow and raise children, and they did. And so I wound up in those communities, and I ran into some of those wonderful people. I'll just give one little bit of history. In 1918, we had the war. You know, the war started in Germany, with Germany. We had a governor named Governor Harding, and he was so worried about all these ethnic groups and immigrants speaking their native tongues that he created what is called the Babel Proclamation. You guys probably
Babel Proclamation.
Which basically says that if you live in Iowa, you will speak English, and you'll even speak it in the churches. Well, you can imagine what that pastors felt about that. They discovered that he didn't say anything about music, so they could sing in their native tongue.
He forgot music.
But Governor Harding was not a real, well, he was kind of a bit of a charlatan. There's a lot of stories about him. But one statement he made, which is just outrageous, he said, well, you know, if English is good enough for Jesus Christ, it should be good enough for Irish. And he was quite a guy. And so all these people, all the Germans, Norwegians, the Swedes, they found each other, and they just threw him out of office the next time around. And you'd think we would learn something about that, but in 2006, the Iowa legislature passed a rule that English is our appropriate language, 2006, because it seems like we're always afraid of new people when they come, and yet new people bring newness. That's one of the themes of this book. These people come and they, you know, what would we do without the Dutch, you know, and the Germans?
You wouldn't have any letters if you didn't have this.
Or delicious
and, you know,
pastries.
The Germans, you have Bach, and my goodness, it just, and so I lived among the Czech people and the Swedish people, and that's where I found my wife. She's Swedish, And up at Emmitsburg, it's Irish. And, you know, 1 million people came to America. 1 million people died in the Irish famine when the potatoes failed. And so we had this huge influx of Irish people. And in doing some research, I went up to Decorah, where we have seed savers.
Yeah, seed savers.
And Diane Whaley, she's on the cover of the book. I like to. For 34 years, she has saved seeds, and the first seeds were brought from Moravia by her great-great-grandfather, and she now can show you 500 varieties of tomatoes, 400 varieties of beans. And the genius of this is that she's saving seeds for the future. We can't allow seeds to be just controlled by a few multinational companies. And it's just a wonderful thing to go up there and see what they have done. And I got to thinking about it. You know, if we'd had several varieties of potatoes, we might not have had a famine in Ireland.
Right,
That's
they
true.
wouldn't have all been affected.
But that's what the book's about.
So you're going to be talking tonight.
Yeah, a lot of great backstories that are what make our great state what it is today. And you're speaking more about this, and people have a chance to check out your great book tonight as part of a great thing going on here in the Metro called Avid. And go check out this wonderful man tonight at Central Library at 7 o'clock, completely free and open to the public.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Bill Cotton, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Nice
for
to
the
meet you.
opportunity.
It is 8:50.